When you wake up in the hospital, the first thing you think is, you're still alive, but not me. I woke up in a strange state called covert consciousness, which means I could hear everything, feel everything, but couldn't open my eyes, couldn't speak, couldn't move. It felt like being locked inside my own body, a biological prison. My name is Dale. I'm 37 years old. I was once a normal man, a steel engineer, hardworking, loving my wife, no kids, and living a peaceful life. Until the day a pickup truck ran a red light, and my life veered off in a direction no one could have predicted. The first day in the hospital, all I could hear was the machinery, my heartbeat, my breath, the nurse's shoes on the floor. But then I started hearing a familiar voice. Isabella, my wife. She came every day, crying, holding my hand, saying sad things. Everything seemed normal. But it wasn't until last Monday that the mask fell off. I was still lying there motionless when I overheard her talking to Dr. Tracy. At first it was just routine medical questions, but then her voice lowered. I could feel the change in the air. I'm still young, Isabella said. We don't have kids. I can't live like this forever. I mean, if he's going to stay like this. You understand, right, doctor? My heart raced. Blood drained from my face. I couldn't scream, couldn't react. I was paralyzed, my body frozen as this wave of numbness seeped into every helpless cell. If he doesn't wake up, could we maybe disconnect the ventilator? I could start over with someone else. I couldn't believe it. The woman I had loved for 8 years, the one who had walked down the aisle with me, was talking about ending my life like it was as simple as discarding a broken object. Fortunately, Dr. Tracy didn't let her emotions control the situation. Her voice was cold as steel. Ms. Isabella, the patient isn't at that stage yet, and this decision can't be based on personal wishes. We need to monitor further. But Isabella didn't give up. She kept going on about medical bills, insurance, my quality of life if I became a vegetable. Then she referred to me, Dale, like I was already dead. I lay there, my entire body stone still. In my mind, I was screaming, I'm not dead. I can hear everything, Isabella. The days that followed were hell. Isabella still came, held my hand, said sweet things, but I didn't feel like she was my wife anymore. I just saw her as a stranger, a woman calculating her husband's death with a sweet smile. I started paying attention. She was texting a lot, whispering names like Sky, Barbara. One time she said, if everything goes according to plan, we could start over sooner than you think. I etched every word into my mind. And then, a miracle happened. I could move my fingers, then my hand, then my legs. The doctors were stunned. Isabella wasn't there when I woke up. She was getting her hair done. Of course, the first person I saw when I opened my eyes was Barbara, my sister. She broke down in tears when she saw me moving my lips. You're awake. Oh my God, you're awake. I didn't mention anything about what I had heard. I just said I didn't remember much. To keep the secret, I needed time, I needed a plan. Isabella came back that night. She hugged me crying, telling me how she had been so scared to lose me. I looked into her eyes trying to find the wife I had once loved, but all I saw was the woman who had once suggested pulling the plug on me to find someone else. She didn't know that every smile, every hair touch, every sweet word she said now was just another knife twisting in the wound I was trying to heal. I called Daryl, my best friend since high school. He's great with tech, discreet. He said one thing, you're not crazy, you survived. Now it's time to plan like someone who's alive. I have an appointment with a lawyer next week. Daryl's helping me gather all the documents, insurance papers, financial records. I'm rebuilding everything, quietly, step by step, so that when I finally stand up, Isabella won't have another chance to kill me. I woke up, not from sleep, but from the naivete I'd carried through 8 years of marriage. The first day back home from the hospital, I walked into the house that had once held sweet memories, now just a stage for fake smiles. On the wall was a hastily bought welcome home banner from Target, probably just for a few photos to post on Instagram. I didn't smile in the pictures, not because of the pain, but because I knew the woman standing next to me in the picture had once told the doctor she could find someone else if I didn't wake up. Isabella still played her part. Every night she cooked my favorite meals. Every morning she brewed coffee, the coffee I used to love, but now tasted like water. Every time she smiled, I only saw the coldness in her eyes from the hospital. Every time she said, "I love you," all I could hear was her whispering to Dr. Tracy, "I'm still young. I can't wait forever." I didn't say anything, didn't confront her, because I wasn't ready. I needed the truth, not rage, and the truth was always hidden behind a phone. That night, while Isabella was out shopping, Daryl and I got to work. We set up a small camera in the living room, cheap but effective, bought off Amazon. As for me, I started playing the role of the recovering husband, while secretly hunting for evidence. The first thing I noticed was how she always kept her phone face down on the table. A small detail, but meaningful. She'd also changed her phone password just a few weeks before the accident, something she'd never done in 8 years. Every time a message came in, her eyes would light up with a spark she couldn't hide. The name Sky appeared multiple times in the phone history, always when I was either sleeping or in the bathroom. I logged into the family phone account, something I had set up when we first got married. The results made my grip tighten to the point of nearly hurting my still healing wound. Nearly 500 messages with Sky over the span of a month, most of them late at night. Sky. It sounded like an excuse, but every time I saw it, my heart tightened. She hadn't just betrayed me after the accident. She'd been betraying me long before that. The accident just made her think she'd won. I started documenting everything. Strange receipts, shady card transactions, Sephora bills, calls at 2 a.m. I changed the passwords to all accounts, opened a new bank account, and started moving small amounts of money every day, acting like nothing was out of the ordinary. I lied gently, saying, "I just want to track the spending for recovery." She nodded, a harmless smile. But I knew. The killer rarely shows their teeth when they smile. Daryl helped me set up automatic backup software. Every call Isabella made, every text she sent from her phone, would be stored if I could access it. I photographed everything in the house, from the coffee maker to the wedding ring, not to remember, but to have proof for asset division after the divorce. I started posting pictures of my recovery on a private Instagram account, just for storage, with clear time, date, and location stamps. Legally, data is what matters, not emotions. One evening, Isabella sat next to me watching Netflix, her head resting on my shoulder. The screen shimmered brightly. I don't remember what we were watching. I only remember looking at her and thinking, this woman once wanted to pull the plug on me, and now she's leaning on my shoulder like she never said that. She started talking about selling the house because the stairs are too high and I need a one-story house to recover more easily. I nodded, but in my head I heard the doctor's words, "You will recover fully." There was no medical reason to sell the house. She wanted to cut the ties, to make it easier to leave. One night, I deliberately told her mother that my memory after the accident was so good that I even remember the scent of the attending nurse in the recovery room. She looked at me, her eyes a bit startled, like a fox hearing the sound of a hunting dog getting closer. I was planting the seeds of doubt. I wanted her to never be sure about what I remembered and what I forgot. The more confused she was, the more it worked in my favor. The lawyer scheduled a meeting for the next morning. I lied to Isabella, telling her I was going to meet Danny to play PS5, like usual. She made me a sandwich, carefully reminding me, make sure to rest. Irony, right? The wife who once wanted to pull the plug on me is now making me a sandwich to go meet the lawyer, to divorce her. The battle had begun, but this time I was a step ahead. I was no longer the motionless patient listening to my fate being decided. I was Dale, the survivor, the one who would take back justice with his own awareness. 6:58 a.m. I sat at the kitchen table, holding a cold decaf coffee, pretending to scroll through TikTok on my phone. Outside, the fog was thick, just like the morning after the accident. But this time, I was fully awake. Ready. The door opened. Isabella came in from her night shift at the hospital, or at least that's what she said. She walked in, the strong scent of her perfume following her, holding an expensive Starbucks cup, her face tired but clearly fake. "Traffic was awful this morning. Looks like someone slept at the wheel," she said with a dry laugh. I looked up, locked eyes with her, and I said 4 words. I heard everything. Silence. Tense. Like a rope pulled to its breaking point. What? She froze, her eyes darting quickly. The day at the hospital, when you told Dr. Tracy that if I didn't wake up, they could pull the plug, that you're still young, and you could find someone else. I heard. Every word. She froze. The coffee cup trembled in her hands. Her eyes widened like she had just been yanked out of a dream she thought no one else could see. You heard that? Her voice was barely a whisper. Not just heard. I've got proof. I pulled out my phone and played the recording. First, Dr. Tracy's voice, then Isabella's. Soft, calculated, cold as a blade. If he stays like this, I can't live like this forever. I'm young. Her face went pale. The coffee cup hit the floor. She took a step back, her mouth trembling. No, it's not what you think. I was so scared. I panicked. Oh, and what about Sky? I asked, flipping through printed screenshots of the WhatsApp messages Daryl helped me recover from iCloud. Cold, damning words on paper. If everything goes smoothly, I can start over. He still hasn't woken up. It's like waiting for a glitchy update. Isabella couldn't say a word. She collapsed onto the couch, her hands covering her face, tears streaming uncontrollably. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I just felt so trapped. I didn't think you'd find out. Because you thought I was going to die, right? She went silent. I stood up, opened the drawer and pulled out a stack of papers, the signed divorce papers, along with the asset division agreement. She looked up, her tears staining her makeup. This can't be happening. I thought, you thought I'd still love you blindly? I said with a bitter laugh. I used to be that guy. But the day you told the doctor to pull the plug on me, you killed that man. She shot up, running toward me to hug me. I stepped back. I pulled her hands off me like untangling a rope from my neck. I moved out already, bit by bit over the past few weeks, while you were off getting your hair done, doing yoga, or meeting with Sky. But what about the house, the bank accounts? I've closed all the accounts, even the card you used to buy Starbucks this morning. She opened her phone trying to log into the bank. Account does not exist. She looked at me, no longer angry, no longer pretending, only raw, desperate emptiness. You can't ruin my life like this, she whispered. You were going to end my life. I'm just giving back the truth. I left the house. I didn't look back. Isabella collapsed onto the floor, her cries echoing through the window, like a tragic song I no longer wanted to hear. I arrived at the new apartment, small and simple, but it was mine. The door shut behind me. No more monitoring devices, no more fake smiles. No one left who wanted to kill me to start over with someone else. I opened my phone and deleted the camera monitoring app. I opened Spotify. The playlist was named The Resurrected. 3 days after leaving the house that used to be our home, my phone exploded with messages. 92 missed calls. From one number only, Isabella, along with over 50 messages, varying in length, some pleading, some angry, some threatening, others begging. There was one she sent at 2 a.m. I know you don't want to hear from me anymore, but please, just once. I have no one but you. Reading those words, I felt something strange. Not because I felt sorry, but because I didn't feel anything at all. No anger, no sympathy, just a downpour of messages falling onto a roof I no longer live under. The apartment I'm in now is quiet. No more the sound of high heels clicking on the floor at midnight. No more the glow of a phone screen lighting up in my face from the head of the bed. I bought a small wooden table set from IKEA. The room feels empty, but every day I add something new. A little cactus, a photo with Daryl from college, the old coffee maker that Isabella hated. Because it was too loud. Now I like the noise. It reminds me I'm alive. Really alive. Isabella didn't stop. She tried to meet me at the gym, at Daryl's house. She even left handwritten letters under the door of my new apartment. How did she know my address? Maybe from an old friend or social media. I didn't care anymore. In one letter she wrote, "You can hate me, but please don't make me the person everyone else hates. The irony is, she did that to herself. No one needed to post the recording. No one had to spread the story online. Her actions spread like ink stains. Her colleagues started avoiding her. The rumor about the wife who wanted her husband dead for the insurance money didn't take long to circulate. Her mother, Barbara, called me. Her voice was choked, trembling. "Dale, she's been lying to us all along. She said you left without a word, took all the money. But now, I know the truth. I've heard the recording." "Oh my God!" I didn't say anything. There was no need to add to the shame she was already feeling on her daughter's behalf. She sighed deeply. "I'm not defending her. I just want to say, I'm sorry for thinking you were the one who abandoned her." She was denied when she tried to rent a new apartment. The reason, her credit score was too low. I discovered that she owed over $23,000 on her credit card, all spent on clothes, handbags, cosmetics, and small transfers to Sky. Sky, the person I believed was her backup if I were to die. When there was no one left to pay her bills, her world came crashing down, layer by layer, like a sandcastle swept away by the tide. Her mother, who had once defended her unconditionally, finally kicked her out of the house. "You need to learn to live like an adult," she said, and locked the door. One evening I was having dinner in my new apartment. When the doorbell rang, I didn't open it. I just turned on the camera. It was Isabella, standing there wearing an old coat, her hair a mess, eyes swollen and red. I didn't open the door. She stood there for 10 minutes, then collapsed onto the steps, crying like a lost child. "Dale, I have nothing left. No one believes me. Everyone hates me. But I really did love you. I was scared." I silently watched her through the screen. A part of me wanted to open the door, place a blanket beside her. But another part, the part that had been lying helpless in a hospital bed, hearing her say she wanted to pull the plug on my life support because she was still young, couldn't forget. After 12 minutes, she stood up, didn't say anything else, and left. I sat there, tears streaming down my face, not because I still loved her, but because I had loved her so much once. The next morning, I deleted every message she'd sent. Not a single word was left. Not because I forgot, but because I no longer allowed her to exist in my new life. I made coffee with the old machine she once hated, the one that made that clacking, screeching noise every time it started. But instead of feeling irritated, I felt peaceful. That sound was real. No fakeness, no filters, no trying to please anyone. Just like me. For the first time in 8 years, I was living as my true self. After everything, the hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing that I had spent so long in a relationship where I wasn't heard, wasn't truly loved, and thought that was happiness. I lost a lot. My house, my wife, my time, and most of all, my trust. But there's one thing that I gained that's worth more than all of it. Freedom. I started taking morning walks, slowly, no headphones, no phone, just the sound of the wind, traffic, and footsteps on the sidewalk early in the morning. The first few steps felt heavy, but each day they felt lighter. Each step was an end to an old day and a new beginning. I started eating on time, rereading old books I bought but never opened, writing again, not to vent, but to preserve. I named the word file Second Life. Daryl, the friend who silently stayed by my side during those days I was in the hospital, came to visit. We sat down and played video games like we used to in college. The difference now was that I was sitting on my own couch, no longer worried about someone asking, "Are you still playing that?" "You're different now, Dale," Daryl said, still holding the controller. "Different in a good way or a bad way?" "Different in a way, more in control, not being dragged around anymore." I didn't answer. I just smiled, because I knew that was the truth. I signed up for a cooking class, not because I love cooking, but because I wanted to try something new, with no one holding me back, no one complaining. The class was small, 6 people, and the instructor was a woman in her 40s, fun, platinum hair, and a voice that sounded like a storyteller. On the first day, I clumsily dropped the spoon into the pot of water. The girl next to me giggled. Don't worry, I once dumped an entire bag of salt into black bean soup. Nobody died. I laughed back. The first time I truly laughed in months. Her name was Amelia. No rush, no dating. But I didn't fear women anymore. I didn't assume everyone would betray me. I didn't build walls around my heart like a fortress no one could touch. One evening, I pulled out my notebook. I wrote 3 lines. I am still alive. I still have trust. I am no longer a victim. I closed the notebook, turned off the lights, and fell into a deep sleep. No nightmares, no waking up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat. For the first time in a very long time. A week later, I received a message. I know I've lost you forever. I wish you happiness, Dale. Isabella. I read it, didn't reply. No anger, no pain. I just locked my screen and went back to what I was doing, folding clothes into a suitcase. Because tomorrow I'll be on a plane, starting my first solo trip. Denver, Colorado. No one's making plans for me. No one's picking the itinerary. Just me and freedom. I don't need to pull the plug to start over. All I need to do is let go of the person who wanted to pull it. I sat by the window in seat 14A on the flight to Denver. The sky was clear, no clouds, with sunlight streaming through the window, casting a slanted glow like the universe itself giving me a nod. You survived. Now live. Next to me was a young guy wearing headphones, playing a game on his phone. No one spoke. No need to. I wasn't here to meet anyone. I was here to find myself again. The plane took off. I felt my body lift off the ground. And in that moment, I also let go of the ground of my past. No more old house. No more late-night pleas from someone who once wanted me dead. No more the old me, the one who forgave too easily, who trusted too much, who loved without holding anything back. Now I am Dale, the survivor, the grown-up, the one on a new journey, alone, but not lonely. Denver greeted me with the crisp chill of fall and a wide-open sky. I stepped off the plane as if I had just entered a new world for the first time. The trip had no set itinerary, no tour, no companion. I rented a small car and drove myself to a wooden cabin in the outskirts of the mountains, a place I had booked 3 months ago, but never truly believed I would actually get to. The cabin was simple, a single bed, a small kitchen, no Wi-Fi, no TV. Just the sound of birds tapping on the window each morning and the wind rustling through the pines in the afternoon. The first night there, I lit a fire to keep warm, sat by myself with a cup of hot cocoa. No phone ringing, no emails, no questions from the old woman. I opened my journal and wrote 1 line. I am living. And this time, I choose how to live. I crossed out surviving and wrote again, truly living. The next day, I hiked the mountain trail. Not fast, not for exercise, just to breathe, to remember the feeling of not being monitored, not being controlled. My legs had been paralyzed after the accident. Now with every step I was telling the universe, I'm still here. On the trail I met an older couple, about 60, holding hands, speaking more with their eyes than their words. They smiled and greeted me. I nodded and smiled back. For the first time, I didn't feel bitter when I saw others happy. I just felt hope. Maybe one day I'll walk down the trail of life, hand in hand with someone, not to fill a void, but because I truly want to share the journey. But for now, I'm okay walking alone. On my last day in Denver, I wrote a letter. A letter not to anyone but to the me from 6 months ago. Dale, you lay in that hospital bed helpless, thinking you might never wake up. You heard your wife, the one who swore to be with you through thick and thin, wanting to pull the plug on your life, but you didn't die. And today you're writing these words, sitting in a wooden cabin in the woods, on a peaceful morning with birds singing outside and the smell of coffee coming from the kitchen. You're no longer the one who was abandoned. You're no longer the victim. You're the survivor, and more importantly, you're the one who chose to keep living. I folded the letter and placed it in the notebook. I didn't need to post it anywhere. It's enough to keep it in my heart. When the plane took off to bring me home, I no longer carried the pain. I carried a new version of myself, a Dale who's no longer afraid, a Dale who won't retreat, a Dale who knows that happiness isn't something anyone can give you. It's something you create yourself from the ashes. Sometimes you have to lose everything to figure out what you truly need to begin again. I lost my wife. I lost my home. I lost my trust. But I found myself. And this time, I won't lose it again. If you relate to this journey, share the story, subscribe to the channel, and leave a message below. Maybe you're also on your own journey to start over. And if you are, remember, you're not alone. You're stronger than you think, and you deserve a second life. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next story. Goodbye.